Progress.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another Military Monday. I am your host, Vanessa Donaldson, Military Spouse Transitional Coach, and I have two of my favorite co-hosts with me today. We have Phil and Deanna. They're both actually we're all in Florida. I'm on the Gulf side and they're on the east side. So Phil is a service-disabled military veteran, and Deanna too. She served in the military and was also a dependent. So female military dependent. We got the male side dependent or male side active duty and retired. I'm just so excited about this conversation. And then myself, I shouldn't say just the spouse. I am Victoria's Vanessa, the spouse, the ones in the background that are holding it all together while the guys are away at training, deployment, raising the kids, raising the families. So we all bring our different perspectives to this conversation. And this is kind of a serious conversation we're having today. It is centered around the VA disability claims. We all go through it when we're getting out of the military. I say we because the spouses, whether the husband's working on his claim or not, we're going to be a part of it. We're going to see the benefits or not see the benefits after retirement. So it is a very we conversation. And so there's a lot of things going on. What spurred on this topic was the brand new American Legion magazine that just came out. So there it is, American Legion. It is the April 2023 edition. And in there, if you turn to page 18, it actually talks about all kinds of VA claims and what's going on in legislation. And I just wanted to highlight, this is straight in the print here. Apparently, we're getting an estimated backlog that's going to be happening by October of 2023 of 450,000 VA disability claims that are going to be in the pipeline. So why this reason? I assume a lot of people are putting in for their VA. There was a lot of stuff for post 9/11, but now it goes back to Vietnam veterans. I have clients that actually serve Vietnam, and we're pushing their stuff forward. Hey, Jeffrey Knight, thanks for joining us. So yeah, 450,000 backlog. Like this sounds like kind of like a crisis. I don't know. So,
Vanessa, when they say backlog, how long does it take to process a claim? Because the first time I processed a claim, it took about a year, and then the second time maybe 6 months. So tell me, how long is it going to push things out?
Yeah, and that's a great question. I think it's going to be different for everybody. So just a disclaimer today, we just are three people that have a military connection that are going to share our experience. It's our individual experience of how the VA claim process worked for us. So I think a lot's going to depend on how many service-connected disability ratings you have going on. If it's, a smaller percentage versus a larger. I know that if you have not just the service disabled connected, but you're also adding in the PTSD side of it, that's a whole other level of doctor's appointments and evaluation. So that's going to stretch it longer. So for myself as well, yeah, I think my husband waited about a year till he got his first kind of little claim check processed. And that's when he, we started the boating ministry, and he got out and got his little fishing boat. And then after that, we just went off grid for a while. Like we did our own thing. We ran our ministry, and he didn't really think to put any more claims in. And then he realized over time, like, wait a minute, there's a lot of stuff I still have going on. Mortarman, ear issues, Marine security guard, feet issues, like stuff was going on. And I wasn't as involved and as, schooled on the matter, educated. So I couldn't ask him the leading questions of, are you working on this and what's going on with that? So we let like a 5-year gap pass until, thank the Lord, military looking out for each other. Another vet we met in Ramstein, Germany at the Air Force Base there. We're visiting my mom. He's the one that finally put that little whisper in my husband's ear to like, hey man, you need to look into this again. Because I'd mentioned a few times here and there, every few years, like, how's that claim thing? And are you sure you're at the right percentage? And you seem like you're in a lot of pain and you've got a lot of flare-up things going on. And thank God it just took the one guy. Sometimes, they don't want to listen to the spouse, but yeah, this one guy helped, and that's what projected us forward. And then we went through a third-party advocate, which I actually represent now, which is what really helped. We expedited it, and within 3 to 4 months, we were set with where we needed to be. So that's our experience. What about you, Phil?
Well, I had pretty much the same experience. They lowballed me in the beginning, and it took about a year and a half, 2 years to get the first rating. And so I was initially didn't really care, but the more I looked into it, and I realized they didn't give me rating half the stuff that and talking with guys in DC, they're the ones that told me to, hey, you need to make sure that they put everything on, because if it's not listed,
You don't get treatment for
you
it.
get no treatment for it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I put in, because they didn't, like I said, put in half of it. And so it took me another 3 years to fight it. But I mean, you got back pay. But the whole thing about it is it's the uncertainty.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing, it's a government organization that they don't tell you anything. The information's there. You got to go find it.
Mm-hmm.
And you got to stand up. And I used American Legion when I was in the Seattle area, well, outside Fort Lewis, Tacoma area. And I used them, and they're the ones that pushed it through each time that I had to put an appeal in. Because on average, I found out they deny you the first time. They give you the minimal amount possible and think you're going to be all right with it because, well, that's what we gave you. Well, then you have to appeal it, and you appeal it as much until you feel that there's no more appeals left, because it's your future. And there's a huge difference between 20% and 100%, and or the 60 and above, or being 100% unable to work, and then you get 100%. There's a whole stipulation about work and everything you have to pay attention to, or it's going to come back and get you. And that's what you don't want. And the biggest thing is, for me, I came to a realization that it was time, and I had to be patient. And you know what? As long as it has the date and time stamped, they go back. And so if they do increase it, hey, there's extra money that you didn't have before, but now you'll have it the rest of your life.
Mm-hmm.
And that's important because some people face lost wages due to their disability. So that extra increase really helps. And I'm sure it helped with you, Phil.
Yeah. It helps me live a happy, comfortable, rather than struggling paycheck to paycheck and not worrying about, or constantly worrying about, am I making enough? Do I have, and if something medical happens, what do you do? Mm-hmm. And because I was watching a report today that was talking about people are spending a lot more on their paychecks for healthcare than they have ever have. Mm-hmm. And the number one leading cause of bankruptcy is medical bills.
Mm-hmm. I read that as well.
Both military, civilian. It doesn't care. It doesn't pick and choose. It just wipes across the board. Mm-hmm. And you know what? We're all in this together, and it's about us coming together like what we do, and Vanessa and Dee, with sharing different perspectives, different opportunities. I think it's so much better than just hearing one person. Mm-hmm. But I mean, I feel fortunate enough. I have two wonderful women that can give me a completely different view than I have, because I don't know what it is to be that female service member or that spouse. Mm-hmm. But you know what? It makes sense. The more I've done emotional intelligence and self-awareness, I've come to understand that I was the problem.
We all are. We all.
Everybody else.
Nobody's perfect here, but very humble Phil now. You've humbled yourself over the years.
Well, you know, too many times people are in competition. It's not a competition, because we all have different levels of way we're doing things. I hit the lotto with two highly educated people. Mm-hmm. And that's what gives us validity is, you know what, we've been there, done that. We're pushing forward, because ultimately yesterday doesn't matter. Tomorrow doesn't exist. And all we have are these moments. And I never was able to cherish it as much as I do now, because I had ego and pride preventing me from seeing.
Yeah. And talking about ego and pride, I mean, that comes, I mean, I'm married to a Marine, so I could have that issue too. I don't know. I'm not going to say, we complain about our spouse of what they are, but look back because the mirror points right back at you. So I have my ego and pride issues too. But yeah, I mean, Marines definitely, like, he felt like he was just doing his job when he did his service. Like, that was his mindset. I did my job. Yes, I got blown up in an IED Humvee explosion. Yes, I had shrapnel in my, outfit, my uniform for days until I even knew to pull it out. Like, yes, I've been in some predicaments, but I was doing my job and that's it. And he was a mortarman, like, not a paper pusher. He's
What?
not going to want that paperwork. And
I'm sorry, I
so,
was trying to joke.
I
He
didn't
was a
hear
martyr,
the
and I was like, what?
okay, I'm like, oh gosh, his sound went out. A good
Yes.
joke there. Which leads me to his ear disability. Like, yeah, maybe he felt like, he's a 20-something-year-old or 30-something-year-old. Well, my ears are fine. But then you run into those 60-year-olds that are vets, and they're like, you better put that on your paperwork because, those hearing aids are like $5,000 a pop. And, you talk to the people on the other side of retirement. It's like, oh my gosh, am I going to pay this? Do we want to pay $5,000 or $10,000 out of pocket for hearing aids? Or do we want to have that documented that, yes, he grew up around mortars, so his ears are going to be a little more sensitive. So, he went in and did the ringing ear tests and all that stuff. But that's the kind of stuff that needs to be documented because you don't
But
think
you know
about the
why that happens,
$5,000.
right?
Excuse
You
me?
know, from the perspective of combat warrior, and I get it. That's the reality behind it, because the thing about it is you're constantly told, and the culture's built around of
Don't go to medical.
suck it up, wipe it off, and move on, because it's about
Motion.
pushing the mission at your own expense.
Mission first.
Mission
And
first.
but that's the mindset, and that's something that is ingrained into them. When they fail to understand that you're in a job. The same way a pro athlete blows out his knee, he gets $40 million. You think he's completely disabled? No, but you know what? Our servicemen and women go out there, and we do it because we're doing it for the right reasons, and it's our job. Well, they fail to understand it's a job. It's one of the hardest professions out there that is most demanding, both physically, mentally, spiritually, and family, because you have to juggle all that stuff. And a lot of service members take all that responsibility, all that baggage, all that trauma, everything, throw it on their shoulders, saying, I got this.
And then when you come out,
have back problems, knee problems.
And then when you come out, you really need someone like Vanessa to help walk you through, because you're so programmed to think that that was my job. That's what I was supposed to do. Why would I go claim something? But that's what you signed up for. That's your right. That's your benefit to get, help for any injuries that you sustained while you were in the military. Vanessa, can you tell us a little bit about the process? So if I was to come to you and say, hey, can you
absolutely. Yeah. And I've got the link down there as well. But the process is just to reach out to me either through the link, which I have resetwithvanessa.com, and I have /disability-rating-audit. And it's a complimentary audit that I provide. So I have gotten people immediately, military, we're all about saving money to get to the bottom line. What's it cost? So yes, we have this complimentary session where actually, as I connect with you as well, I'm going to need your disability rating sheet. So nothing, I'm not grabbing your full name and your social security and all that. There's a third-party advocate that gets to that level. But for me, I'm just collecting your rating so we can see what you're at and get your story on why you think it should be more. And we're literally just looking at the breakdown of the numbers. If it's 10% for anything, 20% sciatica, whatever you have going on with your individual claim, it all starts with that piece of paperwork. And I have some people, unfortunately, like these Vietnam vets, that didn't even realize there was something called intent to file. And they left from Vietnam with like some kind of 10% overall rating. And I said, I need your breakdown. Where's your intent to file? Well, I never got that from the guy checking out in that era. So some people, we have to go even back and do that step. But the good part, like Phil said, is the backdating. So the quicker you have these conversations with a third-party advocate and the quicker you get that intent to file documented with the VA through that VA portal, that's when the backdating date starts. So some people are like, well, I'll wait till I collect more information. I'll wait till I go to more doctor's appointments. You can do all that while your intent to file is going on. So get that intent to file started. And then from that point, I am now connecting you. I do Zoom calls because I'm very, I want to give the highest quality customer service to my clients, and I'm not doing phone calls like they used to. We're going to get on a call with a third-party rep. And I mean, if you've got some major issue, we can keep your screen up, but mostly people are very happy. They're very happy that I'm there to help them. This woman I just processed, she's in her 60s. I mean, the poor woman is so messed up. She's one injury after another. She was walking and she's already got hip issues. She fell and then broke her wrist. And then we had to put off a meeting because she had to go into emergency surgery and get pins in her wrist. Like, this is the kind of trauma that happens after one thing after another if you're not taking care of yourself. And she kept putting this on the back burner. So once we do that call with the third party rep, they're basically going to tell you if you have a case or not, which is great because I referred years ago other people there, and I'd call up and follow up with our military friends and say, hey, did they help you? What's going on? Nope. They said, like, we've already exhausted everything. So I know that they're not going to be pushing people forward unless they can see the numbers on that paperwork that says you have a case. We're here to help you. And they even have an attorney, which I just found out since I'm going through, some extra training with them. They have an attorney to help them for people that still get denied, which is rare. But if they get another level of denial, they have their own attorney for, like, I think $300 is what the service member would pay to really dig deep with the attorney now and push something forward. So you've got a whole team in your back pocket, so you don't have to be hopeless. There's people to help you. And if you are going to push forward like this woman, we just got off that Zoom call and the woman said, I know I need to put a little skin in the game. I know I need to pay a little something. So based on the service you're providing, they'll go over that with you. That's all with this company. And we push her forward. I sent her an email. She read through it. She started her intent to file and she's on her way. And wow, what a reward it is to know. I just met this woman like probably a couple months ago. And now she's at the level where she's moving forward with her claim. And we're hoping in a few months, I think it's taking longer now. Like we did it like 10 years ago or 5 years ago, maybe. So now it's taking longer. And so maybe it's going to be 4 to 6 months, but that's still better than you struggling painfully by yourself, going through every step by yourself. Because the way it worked for me too is you get this rep, which would be me, and they hold your hand through where to click online. I mean, that VA portal, it'll kick you out sometimes. I'm just the spouse. I'm the spouse. And I would get triggered like, oh my gosh, it's kicking me out again. And they literally prep you for this. Like, you're going to get kicked out of this. You're going to get kicked out here. Something's going to happen here. Just go back in here, click here, don't click there. They had screenshots with breaking down where to click, what it looked like on the portal, like exact imagery so that I could follow it with my husband together on our end, because ultimately it has to be filed, from you, not from them. They're the third party advocate. But all that said, had I been doing that all by myself without that guidance of someone for a little skin in the game, we would have never gotten where we are. We would have never increased his disability rating. We'd still be back where we were, and life would be a whole different picture right now. So yeah, you do invest a little in yourself, but when you think about it, like, it pays itself off probably in one or two paychecks, and from your retirement paychecks, and you're done. You're on that. That's disability for life. And I have to put a plug in there too. I mean, enjoy that disability for life for the veteran, but for you spouses out there, it's just something that's come up now that I'm in this world more. Like, that disability dies with your spouse's death certificate. When he leaves Earth and he's gone, that whatever that rating was, 10, 20, 34, all the way to 100%, that disability is going away with your spouse. So get involved with the finances together, figure out where all your investments are, do some diversification strategies, whatever you need to take, get a financial planner and set that up, because that's going to be a big chunk of your paycheck that's no longer going to be in that bank account from one day to the next, like literally just stopped. And you're going to be like, where'd that extra 500 go or whatever? And it's like, oh, it's not coming in anymore. So does anybody want to add on to that or anything I said?
Well, I just have a question because I did my initial claim with the VA and then another one with Wounded Warriors. How would you compare, or what would be the advantage of going with your service as opposed to the other ones?
Yeah, so there's American Legion, which Phil used. There's the VFW, I think people have used.
Yes.
And people also go to veteran service officers, VSOs. So you can call Military One Source and find your VSO anywhere where you live around the US. There's going to be a VSO, supposed to be. And the experiences I've heard are kind of 50-50 too. Some VSOs are really on top of it and just have maybe the bandwidth and not inundated with customers or clients to help them. And so they can give them extra personal attention, all that. And others, depending on where you're living, your geographical location, they just might be flooded and they're just not able to keep up with everybody. And people are constantly falling through the pipeline. So those are the three options. And there's, I think, some other third-party advocates as well. I'm only advocating this one because this is who we used. This is the experience I had with my spouse. It worked out great. The professionalism, the customer service was wonderful. I felt like I had someone on my side that was listening to my husband's voice, and it gave me hope. So that's why we chose to go with them. And of course, word of mouth. Everything is referral. So once we knew this is someone who referred us, who my mom knew since he was like 16 years old and worked in her little government contracting office in Virginia years ago. And they were reconnected in Germany because my mom is German, lives in Germany. And so this is someone that had years of history with my mother. So I had that trust factor with him. So when he came to my husband and, had this information to share with us about third-party help and don't do it on your own, I mean, it still took my husband like another 3 or 4 months to bite. He was messaging us on WhatsApp. Did your husband call? It's a free consultation. What's he waiting for? I'm like, I know. I've been 5 years. And then I don't know, the seas part of the sky opened up one day, and I don't know if he was so in pain with a flare up, or I don't know what was going on, but I said, can I just put the phone on a speaker call right here and just click on the number, free consultation? Like, they're going to call us this day, this time. Can we just all sit here with the speaker? It's going to be like a 30-minute, 40-minute call. Can we just do that? You don't have to decide anything. Let's just have a conversation with them. And even the conversation with the Marines are like, no. I'm like, we got to have a conversation with them, please.
Well, the biggest thing is getting people to ask for help. Veterans don't know how, because we've been indoctrinated. We push through. We improvise and overcome. We push through. We don't talk about mental health. We don't talk about the disability ratings or getting just going to sick call, because what that really, when it all boils down to, is capability and mission capability. The leadership at even the company level is required by the U.S. Army to be combat ready at either 40% to 100%, somewhere in between that. And if you have missions coming up, you want those numbers as high as possible, and things like leave and everything go into that. And the more if you get a profile, you're non-deployable, and that affects their numbers. And so what they do, they ingrain into you, suck it up, move on. If it's not something that's completely disabling, then don't do it. And that's where we got to break that stigma and get veterans to say yes, because you know what, the spouses can say and do, and literally the veteran don't have to do anything because the spouse understands the benefit to it.
And not just the veteran, but the active duty
Yes.
members that are in now, that, we need to let them know to go to sick call when they need to. For sure.
Yeah. And I would add too, when you're checking out, I mean, this whole TAPS thing, 3 days, I've talked about it, even with people that are on that exit side with the military, and it should be stretched out to at least a year. I mean, over and over, these conversations I'm having with my clients, like, we need 1 year to process our vets out. This 3 day like fire hose thing, there's so much that's missing and going, okay, we'll get that later. And I have to say too, someone told me military spouses have the right to go with their husband to some of those TAP classes. We kind of had our own too, in like a little resume building thing, and you're going out into civilian world. This is how you prepare yourself more. It was still all like a lot of information at once. But had I been in those appointments and calls or sessions with my husband when they went over the VA disability claim thing, there might have been a little more educated spouses out there going, huh? What's that thing? oh,
Yeah.
that his finger that hangs and whatever, that's a percentage of a rating. Like, yeah, he can't open the jars like he used to because he's got this thing going on with some tendonitis thing. Wait a minute, that's called a what? If we were in the room with those guys during that appointment, just imagine all the spouses that can come alongside them and ask, guide them a little easier than me just like, did you go that advocate, right?
Yeah.
Instead of, did you go that appointment, honey? Yeah.
Or like Phil said, I mean, processing a vet out or an active duty member out is not mission critical. So that's the last thing that's on their mind. So when you get out, that's what all of these organizations are here to help you on the back end. And it's hard because, so let's say we have government officials saying, hey, these veterans are having trouble when they get out. And then we have active duty members who are creating these policies and these programs. They're not the ones that are out, so they don't know what the issues are. And so people like you, Vanessa, and organizations that help with the actual real problems that occur with just, the evolution of society. People are just facing different problems. The force is changing every year. So a lot more women, a lot more people of color are getting out, and we're facing different issues.
Yeah, very good points to make there too. And in this article that I was just reading, hot off the press from American Legion, they also talk about the burn pits. I guess some legislation just passed that burn pits are now one of those check marks for disabilities. They've been fighting it like, no, these guys haven't been out there inhaling all this bad stuff. So yeah, and actually the number they're saying here is 20 minimum number of conditions that are newly presumed as service connected under the PACT Act. So that's 20 more service-connected, issues that our vets might not even know that they're part of that, or, they've got their acid reflux or the GERD or whatever's going on with them. And they're like, well, I thought it's just because I'm getting older, but no, it could be service-connected because of, where you were hanging out in Iraq or Afghanistan and, near some pits or something. So yeah, there's a lot to take into consideration. And I just got a message actually over the weekend from another vet. And I mean, I need to start framing these or something. It was so sweet because he said, I thought I could do it by myself, but my good friend, and it's always through another vet, told me I need to learn to ask for help. So I'm reaching out, Vanessa, and I want to know if, you and your organization can help me that you work for. So I was like, oh, wow, this is really the level, but people have to feel the trust. And like you said, I mean, I didn't even think about that whole mindset shift, because as a military spouse, I'm always willing to receive help. I mean, any base we'd go to, like, find a church, babysitting, like, help, I need help, I'm here alone. So completely opposite of the vet.
It's pride and ego. And that's what stops a lot of veterans. Oh, well, I'm not that bad, I'll let somebody else get it. That
somebody else needs it more than me. I hear
needs
that.
It more than you. Well, there is nobody that needs it more than you. Because you know what, they set money aside, and that's what a lot of veterans don't understand. It if you don't take advantage of these services, these nonprofits that cost you nothing, their whole purpose is to help you, they can't justify their existence. And that's what they've been having a problem with. A lot of these organizations, just people showing up or even raising their hand going, I might have a problem, because we think we're normal. And what I found out through self-awareness, we're not normal. And we don't have emotional intelligence. So that's why we can handle crisis, the worst of humanity, with ease. But yet we lose our keys, or the kids don't do something what we like, we blow up on them. We don't beat down on them, but what we do is we verbalize, and we're stern in our voices. And they're not soldiers. I had 3 daughters that constantly told me, we're not soldiers. Well, then just do what I said.
Oh my gosh. Well, we're going to have to wrap it up here on this conversation. It sounds like, gosh, we could have a whole episode, a series on this stuff. But I will just leave you two with how people can reach Phil. And I know Coach D is just here for support this time. So thank you so much. But how do people reach you, Phil?
You can get a hold of me on my email at philales@alessolutions.com. And or if you want, I do interviews on LinkedIn as well, and come see some of those. And the biggest thing is, don't give up. These are not a handout. This is what you've earned through your service. And there's a lot of people out there that have done a lot less for this country and get a lot more, and take advantage of the opportunities to help your family.
I love it. And just start somewhere. If you're just going to sit and, be stuck for months, for years, like what service is that for yourself, for your family? Start somewhere. It's a free phone call. It's complimentary conversation. So start there and get that educated, decision factor. And then you decide if you're going to move forward or not. But start with a conversation. Don't sit on the fence anymore, and keep that hand on the hot stove. So for myself, Vanessa Donaldson. You can reach me either on LinkedIn or through that website link that'll go right to my calendar booking. So, but again, resetwithvanessa.com/disability-rating-audit. And you can also call or text me on the cell number that I'm going to give you right now, 949-776-8731. That's 949-776-8731. So collectively, we're all here to help you. We want our military to thrive in retirement. We're all on the retired side now, coming from different perspectives. And I want to help guide you from battlefield to blossoming retirement. So helping military spouses bloom wherever they're planted. I put my flower in my hair today. What do those flowers? Yeah, because what did my husband's always say, happy wife, happy life. I'm like, yeah, keep me happy. Yeah. So thank you all. Thank you all so much.
That was amazing.
Yes, I hope we brought some value to, people that are just stuck and struggling out there, and reach out to us as needed. And we'll see you back for another Military Monday. Take care, everybody.